Hi, my name is Nancy Juetten. You knew that. I'm the leader of the Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Facebook group, and I come on live from time to time to share news that you need to make your life and work better. And sometimes I talk about things that might be a little bit unexpected, and today is one of those days. I'm coming on live with my good friend and client, Maureen Kures, and she is the founder and CEO of a company called Radiant Morning. Hey there, Maureen. How are you today?
Hi, Nancy. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. And I'm really excited that we're here today because you have something coming up, and I want to just give a little context. Now, I don't know how long y'all have been following me, but I've been the Get Known, Get Paid mentor for quite a long time. But right around 2018, life started hitting the fan in my family in a lot of really dramatic ways. Our home was burglarized, our cars were stolen. My mom was diagnosed with dementia. What else happened? Good friends were dealing with divorce, disability, and diagnosis. It was just as though all the wheels fell off the bus all at the same time. And then to make matters worse, we moved to a new town after we sold the home that was burglarized. And several months after we moved in, my husband, I had to rush him to the hospital in the middle of the night because he was having stroke symptoms. And I'm thinking to myself, what else could go wrong? I'll be honest with you, my business, my Get Known, Get Paid business did get derailed a little bit because so much of life hit the fan. I'm happy to tell you that my husband made a full recovery, and I'm really grateful for that. But in that whole time where things were going so lousy for us, the only thing I could think of is what could I create to try to solve that kind of angst for other people who might run into it. And so we spent a couple years creating a product called the Life Goes On Roadmap System for Personal Financial Information Organization. And then we subsequently licensed it to a whole bunch of financial advisors and sold it to hundreds and hundreds of families around the country, because what we were trying to do out of the depths of our own misfortune was to empower people as to how they could get ahead of life before life hits the fan. So if something should happen to your spouse, to your mom, to your sister, to your friend, that you would be able to grab the reins and drive life forward if for whatever reason that had to be your situation. So I'm here to tell you that having the Life Goes On roadmap has been a godsend for hundreds and hundreds of families across the country who now know where to find their important documents and their passwords and everything they need to manage their life in the event that something random or crazy could stop them in their tracks. So that is something that I spent a good 2 years of my life waving the flag for, because I felt so called to serve people so they wouldn't run into the same difficulties that derailed me. And let's face it, over the last year in particular, Maureen, how many lives have we lost unexpectedly because of this dreaded COVID-19?
Gosh, I think it's up to 525,000 people now, or almost 525,000.
And so what is it that you do at Radiant Morning? Tell everyone what that's all about.
I help individuals. I'm on a mission, Nancy, to help 1 million people get their end of life planning done, their end of life wishes documented, and then first decide what you want for end of life, then get it documented so that you have someone that can legally speak for you if life hits the fan and you are not able to speak for yourself, and then get it discussed with your family so that everyone's on the same page and they can follow that roadmap that is so important if they had to make medical decisions for you, or if you had to make medical decisions for them, so they can know. It's just getting everything in order, all your ducks in a row, so that you can just keep on living life knowing that you're covered when
Well,
life happens.
well, and life does happen, as we've all discovered. And so it's so important to have healthcare directives figured out. It's so important to know what you would want in the event of some untimely thing that would forever adjust the way you're able to navigate your life. I remember when I was talking to my husband about, I've been married to the guy for 33 years, and I say to him, I've never asked you, what would happen if something were to happen to you and you weren't able to sit up and take nourishment, walk under your own power, speak under your own power? What do you want me to do if that's that situation? Married for 33 years, finally ask him this question, what do you want? And he says to me, Nancy, just put me on an ice floe and push me out to sea. I'll go to sleep and that'll be it. And we laughed about it because what else are you going to do? And then I had to circle back with him and I said, yeah, but is that really what you want? And he said, that really is what I want. No extraordinary measures. If I'm not able to sit up and take nourishment and read and use my mind and do what it is that makes me who I am, I'm done. And whatever you need to do, it's okay with me. So we put it on paper. So I am authorized to make sure that that's his situation. And I thought, how is it that you get to be married to someone for 33 years and you never really asked that question? And yet what we know for sure is that there's families around the country, around the world, in our own backyard, and maybe our neighbors across the street that haven't ever really had these conversations. Isn't that right?
That's so true. I'd say probably 70% of the families haven't had those conversations. And maybe that's being generous, that saying 30% have, but it's a difficult conversation to have because we don't want to think about dying. We don't want to think about what would happen if. It's easier to just bury our heads in the sand and keep going.
Well, and so you and I were talking earlier today, and we've got this St. Patrick's Day coming up, and you were making reference to someone who had this idea about an Irish wake and celebrating it while they were alive still. Why don't you tell that story?
Well, I think the Irish, I was telling Nancy that I become 100% Irish on St. Patrick's Day. It's my favorite day. Instead of just 25%, I'm 100. But, I really feel like the Irish know how to celebrate death, and it's by celebrating life. So the wake is really about celebrating the life of the person that has died and sharing the good memories. A few drops of Irish whiskey are, I'm sure, thrown back during the wakes. But, I think that that's such a valuable thing. And I was talking to someone and she said her mother had been to an Irish wake of a friend. And she said, wait, I want one. And she wanted her Irish wake before she died. And she had an Irish wake. They had the full blown Irish wake, music, Irish whiskey flowing, stories being told and shared. And her mom died 4 days later. But she got to plan that and she got to hear all those stories. Why wait till someone's dead and gone? Why not share those stories with them while they're alive?
Well, I love that. And so one of the things that you do in your business is guide people virtually through 5 important lessons that they need to actually do the work around so that they have decided, discussed, and documented their final chapter. What do you have coming up that will allow people to get on that bus and to have the luck of the Irish at their back as they take that journey with you?
I have my 5-week course. It's called With the End in Mind. And over the course of 5 weeks, we talk about everything, what decisions need to be made, how they should be made, and, reminding people that it's their decision to make. It's no one else's. We walk through how to get it all documented so that it's legal and binding. We talk about burials, rituals, life legacy, and then a template to talk to your family about how to take this to your family, not just your family, but your doctors too. Doctors need this roadmap. So it's a complete roadmap for how to navigate through the end of life so that you can go on and keep living life fully. Can I share a quick story? So there's someone that I have worked with. Well, her parents have gone ahead and put together, they call it their death binder. And so now they have their death binder with everything, their advanced care directives, their powers of attorney documents, all the important things that people need to know, what they want their funeral to be like. They have it all planned out. And they went away for the weekend to just review the death binder. They made it a weekend getaway. And they took Friday night to really pour over it, make sure it was everything they wanted. They closed it up, and then they went and explored as much as they could during the COVID era. And they're planning on doing every year to have their death binder weekend, they're going to call it. And I thought so that they can make sure everything's on track, and then they can keep on living their life. Isn't that
Well,
great?
it is a great thing. And sometimes whenever it is that you do whatever that is, you have that determination of what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. Sometimes life does change. And I'll just share a story from my own life. When I got married a million years ago, my son was just a glimmer in the future. We didn't even anticipate we'd have children someday. And so I designated my sister as the beneficiary of my life insurance in the event that my husband and I would go down in the Titanic at the same time. Well, what do you know? 24 years later, it occurred to me, I don't think that that's the correct designation, because if I go down in the Titanic with my husband and my son gets written out because I forgot to update my important documents, he's going to be scratching his head and saying, well, what about me?
And that happens every day.
Yeah. So it's like, just because you did it 20 years ago, like a lot of things have happened in 20 years. People have come and gone, relationships have changed, circumstances have changed. So if it's been longer than you can remember the last time you had these important, bold conversations with your spouse, your partner, your family, March 17th is coming up. And with the end in mind, 5-week virtual course that Maureen leads is one that you can get on the bus without even leaving your house. And you can also invite other members of your family to participate in this, so that you have a whole lot more to talk about over the virtual dinner that you're going to have on Sunday night, or whatever the case may be. When people come through this course with you as their able guide, what big benefits do they get?
I think the benefits they get are the peace of mind that knowing they have it done. They have that roadmap for their families to follow. They have that roadmap for their doctors to follow, and that they've had these conversations so that they know, yeah, they have the roadmap, but people know how to drive the car on the trip. Because I have watched, so I've been a nurse for 37 years, but I've been at the bedside of people in the ICU where they didn't have these conversations, and it was trauma, drama, and chaos, and fractured families because they didn't know how to talk about this. They didn't know what the person wanted, what their loved one wanted. And so there was conflict of opinions. People had to be kept alive. So I think that the benefit is knowing that it's done. And we get to write our story. We get to be the story writer, and we get to edit it all through our lives. And if we decide we want to change the story, we just re-edit the story and keep going. But it's that peace of mind knowing that your wishes will be followed, but that you're giving your kids, your family, those that matter most. Family, it could be our blood relatives or those that we choose to be our family, but they have that guide to follow, and you give them that gift, because knowing what you want makes it so much easier for them. We're
Well,
all
so,
going to
so,
agree.
so, so here's another wrinkle that just sort of occurs to me. Uh, some of these extraordinary measures that are happening in the hospital are not at all what the person who is suffering would have wanted.
No.
And when you add the layer of the actual cost, hard dollar cost of what those extraordinary measures could add up to, is it fair to say that that could be hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars that could be applied to these kinds of measures, when in fact the person never would have wanted them in the first place?
Yeah, Nancy, that's such a good point to bring up. Do you know medical bankruptcy? Bankruptcy due to medical cost is the number one bankruptcy in the United States. And
I didn't know that.
it's because it's astronomical costs to keep people alive at end of life.
So let me just say this about that. That is an unfortunate thing. That is sad, dismal. There's no way to put a happy face on that. But if you are the heir to that family, the sole survivor, and you're going to be responsible for cleaning up that medical debt and disposing of the estate and hopefully finding some way to come up positive at the end, you could have so much more of an abundant approach to it,
Yeah.
if you will, if these discussions were happening ahead of time. So I think the wise investment that someone would make in the with the end in mind course is what? How much for someone?
$49. And if you register before Friday, March 12th at 11:59 Pacific time, you get the Life Goes On roadmap thrown in as my bonus gift to you because I find it so valuable. When I did that, and had our family meeting with my sons, they're like, "Wait, we need that." So,
Well,
even
and
20 something saw the value of Life Goes On roadmap.
the thing that's fun about this, I think your whole approach is, let's not take a gloom and doom approach, but let's take a positive, upbeat journey of discovery to appreciate what people want. And the Life Goes On roadmap has taken that same kind of idea, which is, this is a road trip you take with your family to go on a journey to discover where all the documents are, what your wishes are, where the passwords are, figuring it out together, planning dashboard dining so that you can get it done. You don't just get in the car and go mindlessly, but I mean, it's very thoughtfully done.
It is so thoughtfully done, and it is so robust down to every minute detail.
Well, and
So
I got to tell you, so when our house was burglarized, like, that's a bummer. Let's just
oh
face it.
gosh.
And every piece of jewelry I'd ever accumulated in my years was carted away in the designer handbag that they curated from my master closet. I mean, it's really a horrible thing, I got to tell you. But if there was one silver lining, there was a spreadsheet where my valuables were inventoried, where the jewelry, the brooch, the earrings, the this, the that, the other. There were appraisals, there were photos, there were values attached to these things. And when the insurance company said, we need an inventory of what was taken, do you have one? What do you know? I absolutely did. And while I cannot be made whole for the loss of my treasured items, I was made whole financially so that I could at least replace something with something special that I would keep in a safe place that would not be at risk of being stolen another time. Listen, none of us ever wants to think any of this is going to happen to us, but none of us is getting out of here alive.
That's right. Even more so, they say death and taxes, but you actually don't have to pay your taxes, but you cannot get out of death. And we don't know when it's going to come. So why not prepare for it so you can keep living your life fully? That is the beautiful gift of what you've done with Life Goes On roadmap. What I'm trying to do with Radiant Morning is that I'm passionate about people having these conversations so that, life will happen. And to give the gift of knowing what we want done if life happens to us, it's such a gift to our families. It's such a gift to those that matter most to us. And during our course, just like your roadmap, when I took the Life Goes On roadmap, when I day tripped with Nancy and Steve, it was so fun. And so we laugh, we cry, we share emotions, and but we get it done. And that's my guarantee. I will be with you through the journey as long as you're putting in the effort. I am there to answer questions. I'm there to help get it done. And that's really important to me because at the end of the day, I don't want anyone sitting on a ventilator in the ICU that should never be there because they wanted to die at home in the comfort of their familiar surroundings and with those that they love at their bedside.
Beautiful. So if you are inspired to take this 5-week virtual journey with Maureen, I'd like you to run and not walk to radiantmorning.com/events and go ahead and make your reservation with your $349 tuition payment and do it before this Friday, March 12th, because when you do, you will also be bonused the digital version of the Life Goes On roadmap as your fast action bonus. And between the lessons that you learn from the 5-week course and the follow-up that you do with your Life Goes On roadmap, you're going to have the peace of mind that you can navigate whatever journey might be coming ahead with the confidence that you're not leaving a big fat mess for somebody to clean up later, and that whatever extraordinary expenses would have been applied to extraordinary measures that you didn't want could possibly be brought back to you so you can do something joyful with your kids, your spouse, or whatever it is that would bring you joy? Why can't we look at the end of our final chapter with a level of joy and planning, so that we can give us more space to grieve if that's what needs to happen,
Yeah.
or more space to take a breath before we find the next path to travel.
And we get to leave our legacy. You know, we get to choose the legacy we leave. So sort of exciting.
So, Maureen, I'm so pleased that we could come on live to share this. If you are watching with us now, I know somebody's there watching. Share a comment if you're inspired. Oh, someone's already saying Life Goes On Roadmap is a great tool to organize your important papers.
It
That's
is
what I like to
so
hear.
great.
I just heard from somebody today who I've been mentioning it to over a period of time, and she said, you know, it's only now that she is going through reconstructive surgery because of a breast cancer diagnosis that she has realized that now really is the time she needs to do it. And, you know, I kind of remember that movie When Harry Met Sally, and she woke up on the sunny side of the bed and he wanted to talk about death all the time.
Right.
And he says, yeah. And she looks at him like, why are you talking to me about that? You know, I'm alive and well. I'm starting my career in New York as a journalist. I've got my whole life in front of me. And he says, yeah, I think about death all the time. And when the stuff goes down, I'm going to be ready and you're not. Well, the thing of it is that the stuff is going to go down. Ready or not, here we come.
Yeah.
Get your act together. Put it on the calendar. Show up for March 17th with the luck of the Irish behind you, and do this 5-week course with Maureen, and then tell all your friends to do it too, because you will never regret it. It will be the best in money you can spend, especially when you compare it to what could otherwise happen if these conversations never took place in the first place.
That's so true. There is one requirement for this course, though. Everyone that attends has to wear green on the 17th. A little glass of Irish whiskey is okay. I don't drink whiskey, but hey, if they want it during the to kick off, that's their choice.
I love that. Well, if you've enjoyed this and gotten an aha moment, I hope that you will let us know in the comments, and I will be sharing this video in a broader way so that more people can see it. I know that with the end in mind, starting on March 17th, you're going to want to take your front row seat. So please make your decision by this Friday and get the Life Goes On roadmap as your bonus. You will be so glad that you did. And I'll post a link below so you can read more about it in case you're curious about what is it and why does it matter. But this is a $97 bonus. It's coming to you as a reward for making a fast action decision. So make yours. Do it before Friday. You'll be glad you did. Maureen, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy.
All right.
Bye-bye.
We'll be back to you soon. Next time. Thank you.